We're just gonna give it a moment to let the waiting room clear. If you can make sure you're muted as you enter.
Unmute, so you can tell me you're here.
Hello, this is Charmaine Shelley from Orchard Gardens Residents Association.
Hi.
Hi. Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Gail Williams. She's using my laptop. I'm a resident on the board too.
Okay, did you want to speak about a matter? We're not at that point in the.
Oh no, just letting you know that we're joined in.
Okay,
Thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board.
Did you want to say it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you, okay? Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is September 18th, 2024. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Cannabis Board. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Commissioner John Smith, Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Ramon Soto, Commissioner Sonal Gandhi, and Commissioner Gabriel Camacho.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. My name is Jasmine Nguyen, and I'm the Cannabis Board Manager. We are also joined by Luke Sandhouse, who is the Cannabis Licensing Specialist. Quick housekeeping matter, item number 2, Patriot Care Corporation has been rescheduled to the BCB's October hearing. So if anyone is here for that, it's rescheduled for October hearing. I will begin by calling each item in the order they appear on the agenda. We have one amendment item to an already approved license and 3 new license applications. The licensee for the amendment will have 5 minutes to present to the BCB, followed by questions and comments from the board members. We will then move to new license applications. Each applicant will have 10 minutes to present to the BCB, followed by questions and comments from the board members. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives, followed by the general public. If you wish to testify, please sign up via the link that we put in the chat. If you have already signed up, you do not have to do it again. Please wait until the matter in which you would like to speak about is called. Do not use the chat function to give testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation, if any, when given testimony. Testimony will be limited to 2 minutes, at which time you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. The record will be kept open until Tuesday, September 24th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give any more weight to spoken testimony than it does written testimony. We will begin with the first item. The licensee is Verdant Reparative, Inc. The license premise is 150 State Street, downtown. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary and product manufacturing license. The request is to amend the operating hours. The current hours are 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. They are looking to change their hours to 10 a.m. to midnight 7 days a week. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Tito Jackson.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you have 5 minutes. You may share your screen and begin.
I'm having a tough time. I think I can actually simply talk through this. We are currently operating and have operated for the past year and a half at 150 State Street. And our request is the extension of 1 hour from a close time that currently is at 11 p.m. And to extend that close time to 12 a.m. We have staff, at that time we have 2 to 3 security on. We have operated successfully over the course of the past year and a half without incident. And wanted the opportunity to further serve the community. We did go before the Wharf District Council and found a warm reception and support for the extension of hours from our neighbors at the Wharf District Council. And really proud of the relationship that we've been able to forge with them over the course of the last several years. So I wanted to put that forward for consideration. I will also send along a deck, but it is a pretty straightforward ask.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jackson. We will see if any of the board members have any questions or comments, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. Can you provide some context for us about the number of customers you have after 10 p.m.? Do you see a spike on certain days of the week?
Yes.
And I couldn't really hear you. I don't know if you could speak up a little bit louder.
I'm sorry about that. That's the first time in my life someone said they couldn't hear me. I would definitely speak up louder. Is that better, Chairwoman?
A little bit, yep.
Okay. So we see the largest number of customers, sometimes actually upwards of 75 to potentially 100 in that last hour. And then we also do see a great deal of folks who just frankly miss it and are having to be directed away. So what we find, Madam Chairwoman, kind of like people when it comes to their homework, basically they run to get there at the very last moment. And so we actually do serve a great deal of individuals who are traveling or the like. So we definitely see a demand at that point.
Do you track that? Do you have any data?
Do we have data on?
Like a time, like some places have come to us and said, oh, between like 10 and 12, we have nobody between, 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 10 p.m. This is how many people we have that we serve. Do you track that?
Yes, we do. We heat map all of our visits.
Okay, so can you forward that to the board for our consideration?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. That would just be helpful to determine whether or not there is a need to extend the hour.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And I would let you know, and it probably would be obvious, but it is the last hours of actually each day, and in particular, those obviously most folks Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I will definitely get you the information.
Okay, great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
You, Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions? No. Commissioner Soto?
Just a quick question about the environment outside of the space around that time. Just if you could give us, just paint a general picture.
Depending on the day, there could be there are folks who are going to be walking by the space. We keep our area clear. We actually have queuing area inside of our establishment. So we typically do not have lines and stuff outside. It is at State Street. So in that area, there obviously is the aquarium station, and so there are folks who are present most of the time. It is pretty well lit, and people are able to pass the sidewalk, so we make sure that there are no obstructions.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. No questions. Hi, Tito.
Doing?
Commissioner Camacho?
I do not have any questions.
All right, we will move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office is going to defer to the judgment of this board. ONS had conducted a abutters meeting. There were no concerns raised in that meeting. And as you heard from the applicant, they went on to meet with the Wharf District Council, which was supportive of this operational change. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? All right, Luke, did anyone sign up for this matter?
Not for this matter, no.
Mario, I see your hand raised. Did you want to speak on this matter or?
Yes, if it's okay. I would just like to say I've been down at Apex Noir and the place is amazing. The staff is incredible. Tito's done a really good job down there, and I think it would be really nice to have the hours extended for customers down there. I'd just like to speak in support of it.
Thank you. I see Derek D.
Hello, thank you. Yes, I'm a longtime resident and property owner in Boston. And I can personally attest that I'm a customer who has been turned away. I would like it extended to at least that time, if not further. As somebody that works late, you know, it's hard to always get there. So I definitely agree in this.
Is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony? All right, seeing no additional hands, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you. All right, well, again, item number 2, Patriot Care Corporation has been rescheduled. If anyone is here for that matter, it is rescheduled for October hearing. We will now move to our new license applications. The first matter we have, the applicant is Bean Collective LLC, DBA Door Zips. The proposed license premise is 161 Reservation Road, also known as 110 to 114 Business Street in Hyde Park. This is for a delivery operator license. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. They filed their application on June 6, 2023. They filed with Inspectional Services on February 7th, 2024, and they had their community meeting on June 6, 2024. There is a buffer zone conflict with another establishment. Before we begin the presentation, I will ask Shakia Scott, who is the Senior Cannabis Manager for OEOI, to read the equity certification. So Donald, if you can unshare your screen for a second. Thank you, Shakia.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, everyone. Our office was able to certify Bean Collective LLC as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant, Donald Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez is the CEO and 70% beneficial interest holder of Bean Collective LLC, exceeding the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Rodriguez meets the following criteria: a person who has resided in an area of disproportionate impact, or ADI, for at least 5 of the last 10 years as defined by the Boston Cannabis Board and the Cannabis Control Commission. Mr. Rodriguez submitted his license, Veteran Affairs letter, tax documents, and other bills, which established that he has resided in Lowell, Mass. From at least 2019 through 2024, Census Tract 3104, which is designated by the CCC as an area of disproportionate impact. He also meets a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. He provided his license and self-identifies as Black. He also meets a person who is a former member of the Armed Forces of the United States, who served on active duty and was discharged under conditions that were other than dishonorable. He provided a letter from Veteran Affairs identifying he is a former member of the Armed Forces of the United States. Are there any questions regarding this certification?
Thank you, Shakia. Now we will move to the presentation. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Donald Rodriguez here.
All right, you can share your screen and you have 10 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Donald Rodriguez. I am the CEO of Bean Collective LLC. We will be doing business as doorzips.com. We are seeking a host community agreement with the city of Boston. We are trying to have a delivery operator license. in the state of Massachusetts. The plan is pretty simple. We'll be operating from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We'll procure all of our products from licensed distributors throughout the state, warehouse those products at our secure location, and list those products on our website for retail to the consumer. Again, we will deliver products using hybrid electric vehicles. We plan on listing those products on our website and for all Boston residents to have access to. We're going to have an emphasis on employing Boston residents as well as the misunderrepresented minorities as well. Next slide. Our location is 110 114 Business Street. We've chosen this location based on its distance to densely populated areas. With us being delivery, it's a pretty big deal that we're close enough to the community that we actually want to service. We prioritize the safety of the community, so we made sure that our location was in safe distances from schools, social services, as well as treatment centers. The location's also, like I said, within proximity to residential areas, which is essential for our business. And lastly, the location has excellent access to public transportation, so we can hire people unbiasedly. Again, it's 110 114 Business Street. The unit's about 1,750 square feet. There aren't any schools within the 500 feet buffer zone, but there is a proposed cannabis located on 1295, 1297 River Street, which is within the half a mile zone. From my understanding, they'll be doing retail. It'll actually be a retail store, and we're actual delivery, which is with no walk-in location. We'll have on-site parking for our employees. Right now, we have a designated 10 spaces. The property itself has limited visibility as well as limited foot traffic. It's pretty much in an industrial area. And to go over the plan, I really want to touch on some few things. One being security of the actual warehouse, but also our delivery steps and the security of our products. I can move on to that. Give me just a moment. Get back to that. But first, I wanted to cover diversity and inclusion. All of our hiring managers will go through some training for bias and cultural sensitivity. We'll analyze our staffing makeup and make sure that we are hitting our target groups as far as hiring a part of diverse groups. We aim to provide living wages and skill training for our employees, so that we have a clear advancement route. We also want to have annual meetings or semi-annual meetings to make sure that we're hitting our specific targeted hiring groups, to include residents of Boston, to make sure that we're hiring majority of residents from Boston, people of color, women, and also those folks who have nonviolent criminal histories, to make sure that they're represented as well. We also want to hire veterans. We'll prioritize working with businesses that are owned and managed by minority groups as well. Our starting wage, we're thinking of starting from $18 to $22 per hour. Of course, those will be based on performance. We'll offer a full-time minimum work week of 32 hours. We'll offer our employees health, dental, vision, insurance, as well as paid vacations. We're going to string out our hiring practices using staffing agencies, on-site jobbing affairs, Indeed, career business opportunities. We'll also hold seminars at our location for residents of the Hyde Park area as well. On our right, I show our goals. We want to have these percentages, but we're not sticking to them completely. It's just our goals of 75% of the employees will be from Boston, 50% women, 50% minorities, 10% of the LGBTQ community, as well as veterans. We're going to give preference to local vendors, contractors, and other ancillary services to those folks that are minority owned as well as women owned and veteran owned. We want to make sure that we're creating long-term employees and we don't have a high turnover rate. We want folks to really consider this a long-term option. So we're going to try to pace our not only the amount in wages that we pay them, but also the services that we offer for advancement for our employees. Security, military is my background. For the actual location, we're going to there's already on-site cameras, but we have a security plan in place using basically statisless and frictionless, security plans with a line that reaches directly towards BPD as well as the firehouse, and it will basically have surveillance on all egresses, all digresses, as well as the security of our vehicles is a major in play as well. To walk you through what a delivery would look like, the customer would place their order on our website. We would receive that order. They would have to give their ID with that order. We confirm receipt of the order and ID and make sure it matches. The parcel would be signed for by the driver as well as the delivery agent. They'll load that parcel into the vehicle. The vehicle itself will have a lockbox in the back as well as security cameras throughout it. The delivery driver as well as delivery agent will have body cam. They'll reach the client. Again, the client will have to show identification in order to receive the actual parcel and sign for it. Only one person will have access to the lockbox in the back, which will be the delivery agent who is handling all of the parcels as another security precaution. As far as monies, we are going to have everything prepaid online, so there will be no cash transactions. Building and product security, our plan is simple. We're not going to have marked packages. We're also not going to have marked cars. It'll simply look like someone's receiving an Uber. We are going to make sure that we protect our youth, obviously, from youth access, with making sure that we're delivering only to houses, and we're checking IDs on both of those stops. We're going to utilize the technology already built into our website in order to do so. Transportation security, I kind of covered that already, but again, the vehicles will have GPS location as well as security cameras throughout them and a lockbox. Here's our facility layout. Now, what I did was I actually put our vault at the front of our offices rather than behind. This way, if we did have an intruder, the intruder would go after the products. I always think the worst thing that could ever happen in these kind of situations is someone actually getting hurt. The intruder will be able to get to the products without actually being able to see our most precious product, which is our employees. They'll be safe. The intruder will obviously will give the alert, but the intruder will never have to see anyone if they broke in. Yeah, that's that's my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. We will move to questions and comments from the commissioners, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you, Donald, for your presentation. It was very thorough and very well thought out. One question I have is, you talked about your full-time employees and what you'll pay them. How many full-time employees are in this business plan right now?
The business plan is made for 8 full-time employees.
8 to 10?
8 full-time right now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm looking on Google Maps at the location. Is it the building with the yellow and blue stripe?
Let me just see if I don't have Google Maps open in front of me. It's the larger building in the back. I know that's kind of like on that corner there.
Okay. And what other tenants are in that building?
There is a plastic company, I believe. I'm not sure, honestly. I've been to the location a few times, but I haven't really gotten to meet a lot of my the actual the other business owners in there. I know there's a dance school that's kind of close as well. And a real
Okay.
estate company, there's a realty commercial real estate company in there as well.
Is the dance school in that building?
No, it's actually two over. So it's the one that's kind of furthest to the left on closest to River Street, I would say.
So is your building the brick building? I'm sorry, it's just like when I look at this, I see a brick building, I see a white painted building with a blue and yellow stripe. I can't tell.
It's the actual it's the brick building.
Okay. Okay.
It's in the rears as well. Where you see the parking lot, that's where the actual entrance of the building is.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions at this time.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yes, good afternoon. I'd really like to see some more meat on the bones of the security plan. It's more of a draft outline of what we shall do and what we can do and what we will do. And I'd rather see what's actually going to happen. There's no security team or anything, spelled out. So it basically was just cut and paste from CCC's requirements. There's no meat on the bones to the security plan. So I'd like to see just some more detailed explanation of how they're going to carry all this out. And the fact that, I don't know, you really just piqued my anxiety of the fact that you're going to throw the, what you call it, the safe out front. So it's just like it almost just like offering it up. So I don't know. I just need to see more. It doesn't seem like it's completely finished out. That's all.
Okay. Am I supposed to respond to that, or do I just take it?
No, after if you don't want to. But
How it works.
I've never been one of these problems. Okay. Okay, well, I can definitely offer that for you, Commissioner. I'm writing that here. I understand that you want to see a little bit more.
yeah,
meat.
just a little more meat on the bones of your actual plans. How you plan on, handling security every day, every day. Especially with the drivers, the trucks. Where are they going to be stored? How are they going to be secured? And I don't know about throwing that safe out front. You might want to revisit that one.
Okay, well, I could cover a bit of that if you want to just go through like a day-to-day, what a day-to-day.
Well, no, you can just submit it. You don't have to stand here and try to talk. I mean, you can just resubmit, add it to what you've already included.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Commissioner Soto?
I just had a question about the Canna class and the business class, like as far as like benefits for the community. Could you just, I guess I'm not as familiar. So if you could just help me to better understand how it benefits the community and what folks will get out of it.
Well, I haven't had a proposed number yet, but I wanted to do a program to where I would actually teach folks in the community as well as minority groups in that community to learn how to get into the actual cannabis business and what I've learned along the way and the steps that I've taken. The good part of being working as a smaller company, which I have, which has been pretty much myself, is I've had to go through A and Z, and I've learned the process, and I've learned the process through research and taking the time to actually speak to folks and developing these skills to network and the network that I have now. Giving this class, I would be able to thoroughly walk someone how to get into the industry, how to learn the industry, how to navigate the smaller things that they don't see quite yet, and the challenges that I've gone through. And then, as a hope to part of this plan to offer some sort of scholarship for their attendance or for let's say the best presentation at the end, give them some kind of an allotment to start their business. It's not obviously anything that I could commit to a large amount now because we're not there yet, but when I am there, I can, commit a larger amount to that person if they, graduate the class.
Okay, that is very helpful. And I would suggest, I think it's a lofty ambition. I think it's absolutely a good selfless way to give back. But I would suggest if you can maybe connect with someone who provides like these type of classes to like workforce development classes or something to just put a little more structure to that, because while it is a admirable goal, I think seeing that through is a different story, and so I want to make sure that the goal of supporting the community some way is reached and there's some fruition there. And so I would appeal to you to get a little more structure around what that concept is and how it will actually play out, to just give a better sense of how you intend to benefit the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you so much for the great presentation. I want to echo Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce's comments on really well thought out presentation. So thank you for that. I have a couple of questions. I think you said there were going to be 10 designated parking spaces. So the questions are, how many delivery trucks are you going to have? And have you looked at any potential traffic impact that those trucks will have?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. Our plan is to start off actually with just 2 Toyota Priuses. They have the space, and usually cannabis is a smaller parcel. We're starting off as a smaller operation, obviously, and the delivery spaces are available for us if we need to have more spaces available to us, Commissioner. It's not necessarily that we'll take all of them right off of the bat, but they're available for us.
That's super helpful. Thank you. And then going along with the location and the building itself, given kind of where the location is with some kind of residential, some commercial around you, is there going to be some signage, or what's your plan for signage for your business?
We won't have any signage, no signage whatsoever.
Okay, that's super helpful. And then this is, I'm going to acknowledge it's a little bit unfair of a question, but we very often see requests for additional hours of operation. So I just want to kind of acknowledge that the location that you're in, but some other kind of residential, commercial, it's an interesting location. So I just want to kind of keep an eye on the hours of your operation, 9 to 9. Totally understand that. And if there are additional hours of operation, I would like to see some really good justification for that in the future, if it comes to that. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Camacho?
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez, I think your diversity and inclusion in terms of employment recruitment is very laudable. But how would you get there? Who are you reaching out in the community? What organizations, what community organizations? So I'd like to see a little bit more specifics on that. I like the goals, they're great. But if you could provide some more meat.
Yes, Commissioner. I'm just submitting these, right? Correct.
Sure. Sure, that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to follow up on Commissioner Soto because I too was like, what is the CANA class? Like, what does that mean? You said looking back on your presentation, you'll provide an annual career development class to at least 10 participants. where you offer hands-on training. So is that it? That's the kind of class, right?
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes, that's what you're hoping. So to give 10 people a year that training?
That's what the hope and the goal was. I wanted to set it up to where we could give at least 10, have 10 seats available for anyone to show up to have this development. I wanted to see if we could actually make this an obtainable goal.
And then you're giving them a grant to do that training? Is that how?
I wouldn't say necessarily it's a grant to do the training. The training itself would be what the offer, but I would like to have something in place to where we're in a position to give a grant. We'll have them put together, let's say, a business plan. We'll have them do their presentations at the end, and whichever group has the best presentation, we'll give that group a grant. That would be
a grant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you're hiring 8 people. How many of them are drivers, and what's the rest of the roles there?
At first, we're going to have 6 dedicated drivers. Myself, I'd obviously be one of the employees there, full-time, hands-on. We'll have our CEO, Elliot Antoine, as well as Amidas Motorbell, who will handle our logistical and warehousing. The rest will pretty much just be our driver teams. We want really, when we first start off, we want, including myself, everyone to really fill out what it takes to run the company, what their jobs and roles will be. Of course, we'll have our dedicated drivers, but we also want our drivers to know how to take calls so everyone's will be able to produce as much as a larger company will with a smaller amount of people if everyone's cross-trained, and that's the goal.
Okay, so you're cross-training. So 6 dedicated drivers, you and a CFO, is that what you said?
Myself, the CFO, and our logistical warehouse specialist.
So then there's 9 people. Okay.
I didn't count myself in that only because I'll be the CEO, obviously. So
Right. Thank you. You talked about, last question, you talked about like your hiring managers. All hiring managers will go through training. Who's doing the hiring? Do you have somebody doing that, or is it you, or is it?
Starting off, it'll be myself, the CFO, as well as Amidas Motorbell.
So you've done bias and cultural sensitivity training?
Not myself yet, but we plan to put ourselves through those trainings.
Okay. And you're prioritizing working with businesses that are owned and managed by minority groups. Have you identified any of those? Like, are you saying those are the folks primarily you're working with, or?
Those will be the folks that we'll try to primarily work with, correct?
Like, have you identified any of them? Like, who are we talking about?
Well, if we're talking about auxiliary businesses or actually growers in the state.
Are there a lot of growers in the state who are minority, quote unquote minority?
Quote unquote minority. There are a few that are out there. We were able to raise funds upwards of 800,000 through just cold calling. I was able to, obviously get the list of who had their provisional license and what step they were within the state. And this is all pre-licensed, mind you, Commissioner. And I went down the list and I simply just cold called these folks and made meetings and networked. And at the end of the meeting, I would ask them if they were interested in giving us a line of credit, and some were more acceptable of doing that, and some were a little less. They wanted me to have my provisional in hand before they would do that, but some did. And I was able to make a large network, and I continue to grow. I plan on continuing to grow my network as well. And
with primarily minority groups.
Hopefully, yes, that'll be
that's who you're raising that's who you raised the 800,000 with.
No, that's not who I raised only the 800,000 with, but that would be the goal. To use those groups, if that makes sense. And I mean auxiliary businesses, all kind of stuff.
But the raising of the money is different than utilizing minority group, right? It's 2 separate things. One is
right. Those are just 2 separate comments, correct? Those are 2 separate comments.
But then you're hoping that to do business with those groups, and some of them you've identified, yes?
No, I haven't identified all of them. No.
All right.
I haven't identified all the businesses that I'll be doing business with yet, if that was your question, Commissioner.
Right, because that's what I'm just reading off the plan, that you will do business with minority groups.
Yes, that would definitely be the plan, and I would definitely want to do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Gandhi, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, just a clarifying question. I think you had mentioned that you were gonna have 2 Toyota Priuses for deliveries, but you're gonna have more drivers. So can you just explain that? Just want to make sure I'm understanding this accurately.
Yes, Commissioner. How I wanted to have our delivery scheduled, also to reduce the traffic, because I know that was definitely one of your concerns as well. Is I wanted to implement a chalk system to sort of like we do in the military, to where all of the orders that would come in from the night before would leave on the delivery chalk for the morning. All of the orders that we received during the morning deliveries to the afternoon would leave on another. And I didn't want to overwork folks and have them on the road too long. We do plan on being open 7 days a week, so I wanted to have some flexibility in there and with the teams.
Thank you. That's super. Appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yeah, I just have another question based on that answer. Where are your trucks going to be stored overnight? Are they inside or are they outside?
Commissioner, they'll be inside. They're not actually trucks.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Toyota Priuses. I'm not sure if you've ever seen. They're the smaller.
Yep.
55 miles per gallon with plenty of trunk space.
So you have a Sally port, you have a bay garage area. Okay, because that wasn't clear. That wasn't clear.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments from the board members? Nope. We will move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office will defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS hosted a community meeting on June 6th that was attended by a handful of residents and abutters. Those in attendance had questions regarding the number of employees, security plans, as well as the methods of delivery. The applicant was able to answer those questions. Several residents were impressed with the applicant's military record and wished him good luck on his proposal. We received later one letter in opposition from a property owner nearby who expressed concerns regarding potential impact on parking. There was some confusion on ONS's part about which was the active civic group for this area. So we just hope that after this hearing, the applicant continues to work with the community, addressing any questions or concerns they may have. With that, I'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Any other elected officials or their representatives?
Hi, Angie from the District 7 office. We have heard from some of the neighborhood associations, or a neighborhood association, Mount Pleasant, who are supporting residents, and they are in opposition to additions to what already exists. This is what I was told. So I believe there's a license for growing, but they are not in support of additions to this license, so retail.
So I think is that for 100 Hampton Street? This is just for delivery. There's no growing at this site. This is
right. And this portion would be for delivery as in retail, is that right?
No, this is just for delivery. There's no retail at this site. I don't know if you're referring to another matter.
Let me check in.
Okay. Is there any other elected official or representative that would like to speak? Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony? See no one. Luke, did anyone sign up for this matter?
Not for this matter, no.
All right, so seeing no one else that would like to speak, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you.
Right. We will move on to the next matter. The applicant is Charlestown Cannabis, DBA Charlestown Cannabis. The proposed license premise is 31 Cambridge Street in Charlestown. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operations are Sunday through Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., and Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. This is an equity applicant. They filed their application on May 18th, 2024. They filed with Inspectional Services on May 31st, 2024, and they held their community meeting on August 8th, 2024. There is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Before we begin with the presentation, we will have Shakia read the equity certification. So, Mr. Sweeney, if you can unshare your screen for a moment.
Sure. Get out of there. Whoops.
Thank you. No, Shakia.
Thank you, Jasmine. Our office was able to certify Charlestown Cannabis as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant, Jack Kelly. Mr. Kelly is the owner and 100% beneficial interest holder of Charlestown Cannabis, exceeding the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Kelly meets the following criteria: a person who has resided in the city of Boston for at least the past 7 years. He submitted copies of tax and mortgage statements, pay stubs, and other bills which establish that he, has resided in Charlestown, Mass. From at least 2017 through 2024. He's also a person whose annual household income is at or below 100% of the area median income for their city or town, and he provided his most recent tax return statements indicating his annual household income falls below the 100% income limit for Charlestown. He is also a person who has been certified by the CCC as economic empowerment or social equity program participant and is a resident of Boston for at least one of the last 3 years. He provided his certification by the CCC as a social equity applicant with his social equity applicant number. And as stated above, he provided a copy of his financial statements confirming his residence in Charlestown in at least 2024 and 2023. Are there any additional questions about this certification?
Thank you, Shakia. All right, who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Madam Chair, Patrick Sweeney, attorney with Morrissey Sweeney, 261 Main Street, Charlestown. And with me is Jack Kelly.
You may share your screen. You have 10 minutes.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as was indicated, the applicant today is his actual name is John F. Kelly III. He's known as Jack Kelly here in Charlestown, lifelong resident, as is his father and his grandparents. This may seem a little bit of deja vu to the commission because this exact address was previously approved by the commission. At the time, Mr. Kelly was partnered with some other individuals. As the matter moved up to the CCC, it was determined that that Jack would be going forward on his own with this project. As a result, the CCC indicated it was best that we restart the whole process, and that's why we're back before you. So the property itself is located at 31 Cambridge Street. For those familiar with Charlestown, 31 Cambridge Street is at the far end, diagonally opposite the Schraff's Candy Building, old Candy Building, showing my age. This location, to the back of it, is the Sullivan Square Orange Line station. To the right is the former Local 25 Teamsters Medical Center. There are two units above, two condominium units above that are residential units. By and far, this is not a heavy residential area. There are no schools, no other treatment centers or anything of that nature close by. There is, as was noted, another dispensary. It's the Heritage Club. It was licensed not very long ago. It's actually located steps from Somerville. For many people, this area of Charlestown has not been treated as Charlestown, to the extent that the housing immediately behind the tea center is, the tea stop, excuse me, has been referred to as Lost Village by the people that live there. But it is Charlestown, and to that extent, Jack, when he came back with this application, insisted that it be named Charlestown Cannabis so that we're clear of the roots. Jack himself will be the CEO. He has provided an extensive outline of the operation of the building, of the business. One of the individuals that has been already selected and identified is the head of security. That will be another Charlestown resident, Stephen Fabiano. Stephen is a retired Boston police officer. He's also retired military, and he will head up the security for the operation. On the screen now, you see a bit of an outline of the diversity and inclusion plan. That's quite extensively reported in the preview that Jack submitted. So I'm not going to go through each and every aspect of it. Hitting the highlights, excuse me, the idea is that the workforce will be 50% women, 25% minorities and veterans, and 20% from areas of disproportionate impact. Among the areas where Jack will be seeking help getting employees from the Bunker Hill Tenants Task Force, which operates out of naturally Bunker Hill Housing Authorities, the mayor's office excuse me, Jack talking in my ear at the same time doesn't help. Returning citizens is what I was searching for. Sheriff Tompkins' office, the Office of Emerging Industries, BHA Adult Education Program. Additionally, there's a social organization that's been in Charlestown for a number of years. They do great work. And I say that having been on the Boys and Girls Club board in Charlestown for 40 years. But this organization is turning it around. It's an organization that supports youth. It covers a variety of areas. Of course, they address substance abuse. They've addressed instances of racism in the town. Unfortunately, it still happens. They bring in speakers. They work with the kids. They're sponsored by Mass General Hospital. Jack is committed to working with them and helping them put on whatever programming. He recognizes that he's not equipped to determine what's best for the youth and what their needs are. So he's turning to people that do that on a daily basis as professionals. So the social workers, et cetera, would turn it around, will be of great importance as this moves forward. The meeting that we had with the community went exceptionally well. We did not have anyone in opposition. There were a large number of people that were supportive. I believe in the packet that has been submitted, you have letters from City Councilor Coletta Zapata, State Representative Ryan, State Senator DiDomenico. In addition, I referenced Lost Village. There's a Friends of Sullivan Square organization that covers that area of Charlestown. It's headed by Attorney Brian Callahan. I understand Attorney Callahan sent in a letter. I believe that Turn It Around also did, as did the VA Post, Abraham Lincoln Post 11. A number of local businesses as well have written in, the Warren Tavern, Monument Restaurant, Carr's Funeral Home. The workforce will naturally include Jack, as we've indicated, and Stephen Fabiano. After that, we're going to be looking to work with these various organizations that I noted to help fill in the rest of the employees. We expect that there should be in the neighborhood of 14 full-time employees to start. It may be as many as 20. We're still trying to work that through. The lowest pay level will be $20 per hour. Anyone with more than 30 hours, and we expect that to be most all the employees, will receive full benefits, personal time, health insurance, etc. The location, as I say, immediately adjacent to Sullivan Square Station on the Orange Line, will make transit for employees much easier. It will also assist, and it was interesting at the local meeting. A number of people said, "Well, I take the train in. I walk from Sullivan Square. It'd be great to be able to just walk by, stop in there." The landlord there is Rise Construction. Rise has bought much of the area and has a master plan that has been approved by BPDA.
I'm sorry, Rise Construction owns what?
It owns
Building?
it owns the unit there. It owns the old Teamsters building immediately.
Does it own 31 Cambridge Street?
Yes.
Okay.
It owns the immediate building to the right. It owns the old junkyard across the street and the parking area that's in the middle, if you're familiar. And I apologize. We should have had a map included with these.
Well, when you look at the map and you plug in 31 Cambridge Street, a Starbucks cup comes up. It looks like it was submitted by Mr. Kelly to Google Maps, so I can't see what the building looks like. It's not helpful at all.
Okay.
So you'll have to get me a picture of the building.
Okay. Frankly, the building is in disrepair, but we will get you a picture. You know, obviously it's going to be done over. The expectation is that we will work, and I know that Rise, I personally know Rise is still trying to buy the other units in the building. So they control this unit. I don't want to mislead the commission. They control this unit, and they control everything else around in Sullivan Square. They have committed to providing 8 parking spaces for the operation of the business. Part of Jack's plan is that employees not parking those 8 parking spaces. There is not long-term, but daily parking for the T immediately adjacent to the area, and is fair in terms of the pricing.
Attorney Sweeney, you are at your 10 minutes if you just want to give a quick wrap up.
I apologize. I'll end it there and take questions if necessary.
Okay, thank you. You can stop sharing your screen. We'll move to questions, comments from the board members. Quickly, Commissioner Gandhi recused herself from this matter, so she will not provide any comments or vote on this matter. So we'll start with comments from the commissioners, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Well, my first comment is, I can't figure out where this is because the Google Maps is not accurate. So it's not helpful that you did that. Second of all, I remember this, not everyone on this board was here the last time this presentation came before us, but for those of us that were, could you put in your own words how this application is different than the last time you were here? Although I know the ownership is different, but what else is different?
Not much else. It's fairly akin to the application that was submitted previously. Ownership has, as you noted, changed, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay. Okay. Who was the landlord last time around?
Same. Rise.
Construction, they only owned that first floor?
Yes, they bought the first floor, and my understanding is they have an outstanding offer to the people that own units 2 and 3 above.
So again, I don't have a visual of the building. I'll have to go back through the old thing. I don't really see it. I'll have to go through the materials to look at the floor plan, but from what I remember last time, there was a shared entrance with the residents. Is that the situation this time around?
There's no shared entrance.
There wasn't.
There's shared stuff with the stuff on the building, but there's no shared entrance. No.
No, there's a single entrance directly to Unit 1 right off the street, right on the corner. And then in the left side, there's another entrance to it. I'm very familiar. I did the condominium documents for this building, so I know there's no shared entrance to.
Okay, am I mistaken? Did you submit anything that shows that?
Yes, we did. In the
Okay.
plan, it's not in the presentation, but we submitted all this, the architectural plan.
The architectural plans were.
I'm gonna double check staff. Did you guys, Jasmine and Luke, did you guys see any of that stuff? I'll look again later.
Yeah,
before we
they
go.
submitted a supplemental of like 40 pages. I believe it's in there. I have to double check.
Okay,
Yeah, we definitely submitted the architectural plans. They actually were in as an option for the shared and our shared thing. So we hit presentation, but there were, I think, 4 other documents we could have hit, and that was one of them.
okay, I appreciate that.
We can get,
We'll get it to
we'll
them
get
immediately.
we'll get a picture and I'll make sure we get the plans. Frankly, I had trouble, my computer didn't read those plans and I couldn't open them up.
Okay, I think if we have them, we have them. I had not had an opportunity to review them in advance of the hearing, but I do go through everything before we vote, so I don't want to put more work on you, but if there's something else you think we should consider. So right now, who are the other tenants? Are they residents?
They're residents. It's actually one owner for both.
For both units, yeah.
And
They're a married couple.
yeah.
Okay. All right, at this time, I have no questions.
Commissioner Holmes?
My concerns are the same as the chairwoman's. I remember this before, and I believe there was an issue with the egress of that second door. I think that was the holdup the last time. There was an issue with the tenants and that back egress or something, but I agree with the chairperson. We need some more documentation on the on just the location, separate egresses. And if you're saying this is in a, it's not even habitable right now, if I heard your presentation correctly, right?
I said it's in a condition of disrepair. The outside of it is.
So what does that mean?
Means it looks pretty lousy. It's there's areas, it was a restaurant probably 12 years ago. And those awnings on the first floor level are in tatters. It just looks lousy. You know, and something needs to be.
Who's going to do the build out? Is it going to be Rise or is it going to be your company? Who's going to do all this repair work? Because if it's not even in the state where you can go in and start building it out, is this proposal even necessary now because it's not a habitable building?
Well, I'm not saying it's not habitable. What I'm saying is it's shabby on the outside. And you know, to answer your question, Charlestown Cannabis is undertaking the work.
Okay.
They have commitments from a couple of different local unions that will assist Mr. Kelly in doing some of this work. So it's not as if, you know, paint goes a long way. If someone had painted this place and taken down the Wesley's canopies, I think it'd look a whole lot better. You'll see in the picture, Madam Commissioner. We'll get that
The
to
new
you.
one, the additional that you're going to submit?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's fair and that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Soto?
Thank you, Jasmine. Hi, Jack, and Councilor Mr. Sweeney. Question on the diversity and inclusion plan. And it sounds like this may have already been part of the prior submission, but could you just kind of talk through a little bit of how you arrived at this plan for this location, for this space?
Yeah, I don't. Thank you, Commissioner Ramon Soto. Well, it's sort of I'm driven by that just as a philosophy. I mean, I have personally made it a public sort of statement that I want to be a social equity candidate and applicant and a business. So that's sort of our core philosophy to begin with. My personal story with addiction and overcoming that, I've seen life at the bottom and I've seen it at its worst. And I have felt that anybody who has been a victim of the war on drugs, whether that's minorities, Black and brown people, veterans, LGBTQ community, like we should be at the table, and anybody who's been a victim of the war on drugs, like I have been, and people in this community. So I know pain, and so I'm driven by that. And I came to that. That's sort of the standard accepted what the CCC is recommending, and that's our goal, but we want to exceed that. So that's kind of the standard thing that you see in a lot of applicants, such as myself. That's kind of the baseline foundation. But with the groups that my attorney had talked about with turning around and also working with the Tenants Association and the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizens and the Sheriff's Office, we hope to exceed those goals. So that's how we came to that. Thank you. For the question.
That makes a lot of sense, because I in my mind that was sort of the bare minimum, and knowing you and the fact that you would want to do more than that, it's why it kind of gave me pause. So I appreciate the explanation.
Yeah. If I could add to that, I don't want to put anything on there that's not completely in concrete terms right now. So I'm not going to sit there and say things that I haven't officially partnered with people and say, I have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but I didn't feel comfortable right here saying it because we just don't have it technical. So I'm not going to put anything that isn't finalized yet.
Understood.
Thank you, Commissioner Soto. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine.
Commissioner Camacho?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One is more of a comment. I'm very familiar with the area. As somebody who worked in labor, I'm very familiar with the old Teamsters medical facility. I'm very familiar with the Strash building, but also as a person who used public transportation. It is a nightmare to cross the street from the bus terminus to anywhere outside that area. So I would like you to look into that. My question is, you said that you had some unions looking into renovating the property. Can you tell us which unions you're approaching?
Yeah, we've talked with the ironworkers, carpenters, the painters, and we've also talked with some local contractors, and we've had one local contractor commit to helping labor for us. But again, I'm not going to put that on and this was said in a public meeting, but I didn't want to put that completely on our deck because it's not completely finalized. But we're in discussions with those unions and also local contractors who are very excited to try to help me get this off the ground, not only for myself, but for the community, because it's been a symbol of a long fight, kind of in some ways the equity fight of what this whole intent is, the cannabis business.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, Mr. Sweeney, Mr. Kelly.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
All right, I'm back on diversity inclusion. First question. So you said 50% who self-identify as women, 25 minorities and veterans, and 20 who come from areas of disproportionate impact, City of Boston. So you're saying half the staff will be women, right?
Yes.
Half will be women. Woman, and then you're not breaking that down. Woman of color, nothing, just half will be women. 25%. The 20% who come from areas of disproportionate impact, have you identified those areas?
It's going to be exact what the official demographics of what those areas will be. So unfortunately, I don't think Charlestown qualifies as that. So
Right.
the other parts of Boston, I don't have it off the top of my head, and I don't want to quote something wrong, a neighborhood wrong, but we have identified particular areas that we will absolutely give first priority in interviewing.
Okay. Are you providing transportation benefits, health benefits, all of that?
Yes. Anyone who has who's a full-time employee will be getting those benefits. Yes.
Okay, this was on the other application too about procurement. You're saying that you're procuring from outside vendors and businesses that are owned by and workforce made up of minorities, and that sort of reflects the folks you want to hire. Have you done any research on those businesses? Do you have a sense of where they are, who they are?
Unfortunately, kind of with the previous applicant talking about finding procurement, it's not easy to find a lot of equity people or people of color or people that are disproportionate impact or anyone who's in the groups that it should be helping. So that's sort of an unfortunate thing from my perspective. It's from a sort of quick look, it's limited, and that's very frustrating. But that's, I think, bigger work that I hope to contribute outside of just this business, and I hope to lend my sort of efforts to that. But yes, I have done my research on that, and we are committed to doing that. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have anything that is signed or sealed, but we will be committed to working with companies like that 100%.
And you have a sense that at some point you want to be integral in helping those businesses grow in terms of people of color and that kind of thing?
1000%. I'm part of, outside of just this being a chance for, to put myself in a good economic position, just on a level of just normalness, a kid coming from middle class, getting into a business like this. I also am driven by that. I mean, I ran for public office. Everything I've talked about in my public life about activism is about addiction, trying to break down racial barriers, the things that bring us together, or things need to be focused on. So that's been my whole work. And I will be even more active in that. And I have been active even in this application process at almost the risk of my own personal reputation for equity.
Okay. 14 to 20 full-time employees, any part-time?
At this point, it's not expected. We would like to go with all full-time employees.
All initially starting at like 14.
Yes.
You say paying them $20, you said is the minimum?
The minimum, yes.
Minimum 20. Okay. And again, I'm reiterating that comes with health benefits and so forth.
Yes. 30 anyone with 30 hours or more is considered full-time employee in this business.
What community benefits are you providing? If any.
Yeah, so we as a standard, we have to give back. So my first thing that we will be doing is establishing a community board. It's not, again, as broad based, because I don't want to commit to things that I don't know I can commit to. But we will be focused on mental health and addiction. That will be, our money will be going to local groups, and we've identified some of the groups already that will help us implement that.
Can you name some of them?
Turning Around, which is a Charlestown coalition that Attorney Sweeney talked about, and the Tenants Association, and our veterans group. So all these groups, they're not just endorsements for me, they're going to help us achieve the goals that I've set out here. I'm going to be relying on their expertise and the evidence-based practices that they are trained to do. And so we're going to be relying on them for the most part to lead them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. I appreciate it.
Any additional comments or questions from the board members? All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office is going to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on this community process. ONS hosted a community meeting on August 8th that was well attended. Roughly 20 or so residents were there. Overwhelmingly, those who spoke up in the meeting were in support of this proposal, citing the applicant's extensive ties to the community, as well as the city's previous support of this proposal when it was back through the community process some years ago, as well as the commitment to working with the community and aiding those who are in recovery. We received numerous letters in support, including but not limited to the Charlestown Coalition, Sullivan Square Residents Association, State Rep Ryan, the Abraham Lincoln Post in Charlestown, as well as Councillor Coletta from a year ago. Further letters of support will be forwarding to the board tomorrow. We received one letter in opposition from a direct abutter citing concerns about security, parking, proximity to another cannabis dispensary. And yes, with that, and the board should have access to that email as well. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
Good
Elaine.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Elaine Donovan with Councilor Coletta Zapata's office. The council would like to go on record in strong support of this proposal. After meeting with the community, our office was involved, was at the meeting and saw the strong support, and the councilor is very, very strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representatives? All right, Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
Yep, and just a reminder to state your name and address when I call it. Thank you. First is Douglas McDonald.
Yeah, can you hear
Yep.
Hi, my name is Doug McDonald. I live at 3A Longwood Place, Charlestown, Mass. Lifelong resident in Charlestown. And I'm the developer that they talked to about doing some of the work down there. I was in the community meeting. Jack had the support. I wanted to go on record in supporting this proposal. Like, one of the things that I'm excited about is the fact that a local kid, who grew up in this community, has an opportunity to get involved in this business. As most people know about Jack, I mean, he's a great role model in this community, in the recovery community and the Charlestown community. And I've had many conversations with him about giving back, something that's important to me. And also Pat Sweeney, who's on that board of the Boys and Girls Club for 40 years, has done amazing work. And so I just wanted to go on record and just support of Jack, and I'm looking forward to helping him get this off the ground. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have Betty Kelly. All right, and that's it for public testimony for Charlestown Cannabis.
All right, is there anyone else?
Oh, sorry. Yep, Tim Donovan. I live at 85 Russell Street. I'm also a lifelong Charlestown resident. And I did want to come on just to voice my strong support for not only the business and even the location, which, it's my understanding that area is going to be revitalized, with the Rotary getting redone, Rise, building in the junkyard, as Attorney Sweeney said over there. So, this area is going to be, very much up and coming. And I do like the location. It's not near schools and stuff. I grew up in public housing here in Charlestown. I'm older than Jack. I didn't know him, till this real proposal started going through a couple years ago. And I was trying to better understand it, concerned, about the legalization of marijuana and what that means. And, and it's going everywhere now. And he's eased my concerns. I've seen the ravages of drugs. Jack's, he's told me his personal story. And he is extremely committed to this town. He's engaged in this town. If you don't see him walking or jogging almost on a daily basis, he's at community events. He's never shied away from conversation about it. And he put my mind at ease on this. And I just wanted to kind of jump on here and lend my support to him also.
Thank you, Tim. Is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you very much.
The next matter we have is Green Line Boston Inc. The proposed license premise is 100 to 114 Hamden Street in Roxbury. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. This is a non-equity applicant. They filed their application on May 22nd, 2024. They filed with Inspectional Services on August 11th, 2022. They held their community meeting on August 6th, 2024. There is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. And I just want to note that this proposal was approved pre-BCB back in 2018 for a marijuana cultivator and marijuana product manufacturer license. So this is just to add retail to this location, just so everyone's clear. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? So, sorry, Lisa, do you have a question?
I'm sorry, does that mean they still have that license at this location?
Yeah, so they're all host community agreements pre-BCB were still valid. So he's renewed it every year. So those are still valid host community agreements.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Mario, I see your hand raised. And Kim and Michael Ford. Okay. All right, you can share your screen and begin. You have 10 minutes.
Can you guys, do you guys have visual on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just wasn't sure if you guys could hear me. Good afternoon, chairs of the board, members of the public. Thank you everyone for making time this afternoon. I'm Mario Signori, speaking on behalf of Green Line Boston and its proposed retail recreational dispensary to be located at 100 Hampton Street, Roxbury, Mass. I'd like to quickly introduce all the members of my team. It's myself, the developer, I'm Green Line Boston. My attorneys, Michael Ford and MQM, who've been handling all the permitting zoning. Derek Small and Kim Napoli. Community mentorship team is working with me and advising me, working with them for the construction and local jobs. Windwalker Group, who designed all the security and did all the security work and design for the facility. 2WR Architects, one of the most experienced cannabis and cultivation and manufacturing retail architects in the country. Dedham Savings, who's been handling the construction financing work. This slide 3, you can see Greenline has already received all necessary approvals for retail cultivation and manufacturing from the BPDA and ZBA, including zoning. The Cannabis Control Commission has already approved and licensed cultivation and manufacturing. Today, we're here seeking approval, an HCA, to add a retail dispensary license to the facility. It would be a third license for the facility. We've had many community meetings for this project. Most recently on August 6th, we had a community meeting hosted by Office of Neighborhood Services. This is a sky view of the proposed site. As you can see, it's located in an industrial area on Hampton Street. This is a street view of the current conditions of the lot and the abutting properties. This is the street level view of the facility we're proposing to construct on Hampton Street. We plan on further engaging the community and activating the area by hiring local artists to add murals once the construction is finished. This is a street level view of the building looking south on Hampton Street. And then this is from Norfolk Avenue looking east. Here are the ground level plans for the facility. Along with street level parking, we have 23 parking spots with spaces designated for employees and customers. There are bike racks along the front of the building. And we also have a locked bike room with showers for the staff. We anticipate many of our employees being able to walk, bike, or bus to work from the local community. Now, these next few slides show what's already been approved by the city for the second and third floor, which have cultivation, manufacturing, and a training center. This would vertically integrate our project, meaning the products would all come from upstairs and be sold downstairs, which also mitigates traffic, shipping, and transportation needs by keeping everything under one roof. In Massachusetts, cannabis has strict regulations around it, and our culture of compliance allows us to easily adhere to them. For example, we'll never allow anyone under the age of 21 without a valid legal ID to enter the building. Diversion is really important with us. Again, in keeping with our culture of compliance, prevention of diversion is, that's one of the most important things for us. It's a top priority. Anytime there's any diversion internally or externally, we have to report it and disclose it to the authorities immediately according to the local laws. We will only be producing and selling high quality products that we intend for adult use. This project is designed to benefit the community by activating, invigorating, and economically empowering the area. Our goal is to be good neighbors. We won't permit or tolerate any public consumption or nuisance from our customers on or around our site. Greenline will work with the city to address any nuisance concerns. Greenline is located in an ideal location for public transportation. Between buses, trains, shuttles, bikeability, and walkability, we plan on making it easy for our employees and customers to come to Greenline. Greenline, along with the name, its environmental impact is really important to us, especially me personally. We'll work with clean energy consultants for best practices on our electricity usage, our load controls. We'll have high efficiency HVAC systems, and we'll be working for all types of water conservation. Also, more importantly, the jobs created here. From the time we break ground, past the day we put keys in the door, Greenline will be creating local transferable jobs. From construction workers to bud tenders, Greenline plans on training and hiring locally. We'll create many opportunities for upward and internal advancement. Just a quick slide, I'll add this just to show some of the jobs post-construction, everything from accounting, bud tenders, maintenance, office managers, trimmers, extraction techs, infusion specialists, packaging, quality assurance, and security. This project would be creating a lot of local jobs. Quick brief, this is Windwalker, the security company that designed our man traps, our camera placement, and all of the security that we have. We'll have over 100 cameras inside and outside of this building monitoring security. We'll have 2 security personnel on site during business hours. Here's some of the regulations that we have to follow, including, camera placement and all the rules we have for man traps and security. Some of the programs we've supported and we continue to support, Boys and Girls Club, Orchard Gardens Residents Association. We work with the New Market Group almost every day. The CMT Community Mentoring Team, No Books, No Ball. We are very active in the community. And then that's it. I try to fly through this. I know everyone probably has some questions, so I just want to pass it back to the board if there's no further comments from them or anything else they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. We'll begin with the board, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
I'm interested in hearing more from community to hear what they have to say. But my question for you is, I think you mentioned it, but can you walk me through the timeline between now and when you think you'll be open?
It's a good question. We're 6 years in on this. I've been putting my heart and soul into this for a very long time. Our plan now is once we get the HCA is to be able to finance the entire project because of the feasibility of it now. So by adding retail and making the project, financially self-sustainable, we now have the ability to go out and raise the money, which would very quickly convert to getting our final construction drawings. And I'd like to be able to break ground within the next 10 months. And then further upon that, we're looking at about 18 to 20 months in construction, 3 to 4 months to build out for different spaces in the building. So you're looking at about 24 months before this thing is keys in the door, people walking in for business.
Okay, and can you talk a little bit about what the community process was before and what it was this time around?
Yes, so I went through a community process starting back in 2018 through our HCA, meetings within the community groups, local businesses, residents. and we got the cultivation and manufacturing license approved. We got our provisionals. And then with the changes in the world, with pandemics, politics, and everything else that happened, a lot of our project was delayed. We've basically hit every type of delay you could possibly imagine in this world. If you know, I'm ready for just about anything now, but we've managed to kind of fight and slog through multiple BPDA meetings, zoning boards of appeals. We had to go through an Article 80 process. There was a rezoning in the neighborhood for Newmarket at BID, which changed this area to retail friendly. We had to go back and redesign our building again and raise the heights on the ground floor, the second floor, third floor. We've made over 100 changes and revisions for the city, from placements of trees to bike racks to, you know, if you name it, we've had to do it. We've put our murals up, we've taken them down. We've changed the type of plants, the thickness of the trees for visibilities on the corners. So we've basically gone through almost every type of civil and community process, from ZBA, BPDA, ISD, BCB, ONS, and the CCC, you could imagine. But that's been part of the journey, yes.
So in 2018, when you went through the process, then was retail part of the conversation?
Initially, no. When we first started the project 6 years ago, we set out to start a cultivation and manufacturing business. But in the 6 years, with the market changing and the financial model, when we looked at it, cultivation is no longer able to sustain a building and finance a project like this. The market has become so compressed. The only way for the project to really work and be able to engage and activate the community in this area and bring in a project that would work is by adding the retail spaces to it.
I totally get the why you're here again today, but I'm more concerned with, was the community made aware of? Was this anticipated back then? It sounds like it wasn't anticipated back then, but I'm trying to get a feel for whether or not
correct.
Around the change.
6 years ago, retail was not part of the project.
Okay.
Since then, I've met with members of the community groups, community business leaders, and I've had the discussions with them. And I've met, explained the project, gone over and seek their support.
Okay, thanks, that's helpful.
Of course.
At this time, I don't have any more questions. I might have some more at the end, Jasmine, thanks.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yeah, it's just a little logistical question. So is this going to be an addition to your cultivation building, or are you building an entirely new facility?
Great question. No, and this was part of it and why we had a notice of project change. We went through an Article 80 review process. We added ground floor retail spaces to the building so that it could have a community engagement. And this is all under one roof, part of the original building, creates a retail space for the community and dispensary.
So are you actually utilizing this? Are you cultivating marijuana? Are you manufacturing, or has nothing ever started and now you're just redoing your entire vision?
We had to, so still the original vision, we have just added the retail component to it. We still have the cultivation.
That's not my question. Are you cultivating now, presently?
Oh, the building has not been constructed. We're seeking this license so that we can build this facility. This is a ground up, right now it's a dirt lot.
So you've never done anything there?
That is correct. I've been going through the process for the notice of NPC, which is the notice of project change, and the Article 80 and the zoning.
Not for the retail. I'm not talking about the retail. You've never done any cultivation or any manufacturing. You haven't done any business there yet in the last 6 years.
That is correct. We've been trying to get it approved.
Okay. All right. That was my only question. So basically, you're just starting. You're starting all over again.
We're adding to it. We're adding to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you, Jasmine, and thank you, Mario, for your dedication to a project. 6 years is a long time. I have a question, and I couldn't find this information, maybe I just missed it. But what's the square footage of your facility? And I know you probably have that between your BPDA proposed processes.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I believe it's around 47,000 square feet total.
So 47,000 square feet with a program of cultivation, manufacturing, and retail, is that your program?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just, one of our goals is to ensure that businesses that we appear in front of us are successful. And I'm just curious as to, that seems to be a pretty big square footage for a program that's focused on marijuana cultivation, manufacturing, and retail. Is that, have you done some analysis on ensuring that that square footage is what you need? I'm trying to get to, are you building too much? Are you building enough? Or are you
I'm just sorry. I have to recorrect that. We submitted this project as 27,371 square feet. The overall building, because of parking and everything else, I believe this was submitted as 27,371. I just got that. But so yeah, and just, I mean, honestly, it's not a lot of space. But once you get into retail spaces, multiple retail, you have cultivation takes up a lot of space, a lot of equipment. Just the manufacturing spaces, the storage for the materials, the vaults, the refrigerators, the extraction equipment. You have to have vaulted walls. There's so much equipment, just the rooms for the security cameras. My current business right now, one of the main rooms is just hard drives, because we have to have 120 days of high definition footage. So that space goes very quickly.
And what's the retail square footage?
Sorry, could I just jump in and add real quick? It's always the problem. Typically, you ask about market analysis and what else is out there. Generally, these places are looking for more space. So having more than you need is ideal. But this also, at this location, there is other space dedicated to community training rooms, activating the neighborhood, and then also another non-cannabis retail. So Mario, if you want to go back and see the slides, or if you have time later, just take a peek at those. There's other stuff designated for this building.
Yeah, if you'd like me to bring that up, Commissioner, I could just show you a ground floor, like how quickly that space gets used up. Would you like me to share that again?
I've looked at the floor plan, so I do.
Okay, so the ground floors between parking, shipping, receiving, and the utilities and electrical rooms, there's not a lot of space left. There's whatever is left, we've committed to, security, entryway, man traps, and then retail. And part of my plan is to have this non-cannabis community space on the corner that overlooks onto Orchard Gardens, where there would be a coffee shop and some type of community engagement and activation, non-cannabis, so there's just a reason for people to be there, have foot traffic, bring some life to that area. As right now with the industrial and all the equipment and everything, it's a sore site. And what I'm trying to do is beautify the area and create something that'll be more enticing for that community, something vibrant. And just a coffee shop alone and a cafe takes up a significant portion of space once you add the kitchens, the trash removal, the entryways, and the storage and the kitchen equipment. So I always feel like there's never enough space.
No, fully understand that. And then the other question I have is, when you have traffic, I think the application says 23 parking spaces. So are those parking spaces for your employees and the retail? Because once you have retail, you also, as much as we'd like folks to come up by foot or by public transport.
Yes, of course. In a perfect world, everybody would walk, bus, or take a bicycle. But we all live in Boston. We know that people love their cars. So we do have 23 designated spots. Some of those would be used for employees. I plan on offering a stipend to my employees who bike or take the bus or public transportation. But we also have a very heavy emphasis on hiring locally from Orchard Gardens and the area around us. This could be a really great opportunity for people looking for employment or jobs or new opportunities. So the answer is yes, we really want to push for people to be able to walk, bike, or bus, but we do have parking spaces designated for both employees and customers.
This goes back to wanting to ensure the success of the program. And if there isn't parking for a retail customer, we're not going to have the customers, but at least those who are driving. So I'm just trying to understand that breakdown and what controls and methodologies you have to ensure that there's enough parking for your customers. And then again,
Correct.
parking spaces, want to make sure that the traffic impact and that already pretty busy industrial area is not overtaken by additional traffic, et cetera. So I think it's a
Correct.
balance, and I'm trying to just make sure that we're addressing it here and have honestly a way to measure the impact of additional retail, additional use of parking spaces and how those are allocated and what the traffic impact might be to the area.
Correct. And part of the programming on the building, the way we designed it too, is going to have the cafe on the earlier morning hours. And then as that closes down and winds down, the dispensary would open up. So they wouldn't interfere with each other. There's also on-street parking, and we're in a very significant conversation with the next door neighbor about renting the parking lot that just became available, which would have an additional 80 spots.
Thanks for the information. Super helpful. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Commissioner Camacho?
Yes. So just to clarify, so this is going to be a vertical facility in which you'll be growing, processing, manufacturing, and having a dispensary, correct?
Correct.
The normal wage level for somebody working at a dispensary is around $20. The growing and processing requires a lot more skill, and as you know, requires certification. What will be your wage rates for that, and how many employees, full-time or part-time, do you see in those areas?
That is a great question. We plan on having competitive and comparable wages to other dispensaries and cultivation facilities. We know that there's a lot of people in the city that are trying to work in cultivation and learn the trade. So we actually have a training center designed into our program where we could take people there, we could teach them and slowly integrate them into the operations. We also intend to work with some of the local community colleges for students who want to get into cultivation. So we would like for RCC to actually offer a cultivation or manufacturing course that we could run in parallel with our training for students over the age of 21. But the answer to the actual number for the wages it would be a comparable and competitive wage with other cultivation and dispensaries.
So I'm just going to clarify for cultivation, it starts at 19 and goes up, and it really depends on what they're doing. As you mentioned, if there's extraction going on, that's a much more refined skill that you need to have. So those would be coming in at a higher rate. But if it's someone who's just working in trim, probably starting around $19, $20 an hour, and managers would get around 50K, directors upwards of 100. To give you a brief overview.
Thank you.
Commissioner Soto?
In terms of the actual hiring, and this may have been part of maybe the original submission, but how will you go about hiring for these roles, and to what degree will they be Boston residents?
Absolutely. In a perfect world, with my dream, it'll be everyone, only people from Boston, but we will recruit, hire, train, and develop a workforce from Roxbury and surrounding communities that reflect local interests and needs, while we're providing jobs and innovation opportunities for cannabis economic empowerment entrepreneurs. We want to reduce the barriers to entering the cannabis industry in Roxbury, and we want to do that by empowering the local community and the residents in Roxbury, which has been designated as an ADI. We want to partner with local community leaders, academics, researchers, and educators to bring high quality cannabis education to the area, education that people can use for those jobs. We want to employ a company team that's consistent and reflective of the community. We want to promote job availability to people, seeking jobs within the community. And we've already partnered in working with re-entry employment programs. We want to identify, hire, and train and develop skilled team members from the community. And we plan on having a very inclusive work environment. We're all about respecting each other. And we plan on having the metrics to show that. We also look to hire at least 35 of our, we hope to go higher, but we're at least committing on paper to hiring at least 35% of our workforce from the local community. We expect that to be a lot higher.
So that sounds great. I like, it sounds like you have a very strong handle on that, but like, did I miss this in the presentation, or was it?
I just kept a pretty high level on the presentation. All of
Okay.
this is very thoroughly laid out in our application, detailed down to like every bit of it, every program, every group we're working with, everything's actually in our application. I just didn't want to go read through the entire application on the presentation because I know people were getting
Yeah,
antsy.
no, and apologies if I just missed it. So, and apologies if you can hear the landscaper. But I did want to, I guess, if someone on our end could point out to me where that exists in the documents, I would greatly appreciate it, because to me that I did not see it.
Yeah, it's I can resend it to you personally or to the team, but it's laid out in our diversity, positive impact, and community plans.
And the employment plan as well.
I will go through that, but yeah.
I'll go through the plan to point it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Dad, Jasmine. Sir, how are you? Community concerns first. So I work very closely to the Newmarket area. And I know that there's a sense in that community. I know it's slated for redevelopment, which I'm sure you're aware of, but there's still a sense in that community that because of mass and cast, there's a lot going on that's sort of not been addressed sufficiently. And wondering, you're doing this building with a cafe, you're trying to activate like community space and, so who and what it will attract. How are you thinking about that in terms of addressing the community that is around that area?
Correct. Yes. I work in Mass and Cass. I'm here every day, and so I'm very familiar with the situation. And I think the problem with opioids in this community will not be exacerbated by a cannabis dispensary here. In fact, the increased security, foot traffic, and community presence discourages illegal activities. And our goal as a cannabis company is to remove the use of opioids from this community and give, with the access to clean, safe cannabinoids to the extent that we are able. We will also provide information on site and online for addiction and recovery services.
You're providing services for, okay, on the site, on site there?
We will provide information and how to access services for addiction and recovery services online and in our store.
Okay. Are you concerned at all that, again, you're trying to activate community space? You mentioned this space that people could use, the cafe, yes, which will be open in the morning. Are you concerned at all about any security leakage into that facility that's doing growing and processing and manufacturing and dispensary?
I'm always thinking about security, being in cannabis industry, running a delivery business and being down here. Security is always on my mind. But with this facility, I think bringing community and bringing people from the neighborhood in and having a space to gather would actually be better and push it out. Because right now, the industrial aspect of it, the dirt lots, there's nothing there. There's no reason for people to come out there. The only people that are going around the streets that aren't residents trying to get to their house are the people coming down there looking for places to hide. So adding our building, putting a building with lighting and community presence and security and cameras is actually going to discourage illegal activity. I think it would actually be really good for that area.
I will add to your question, Commissioner Smith, that as you know, the security requirements for cannabis licensing are very strict. So we have those that we must stay compliant with in order to maintain the license. But in addition, this is a building that is being built from the ground up, which allows us to make sure that we have first and primary oversight of everything the way that this building is created. There is no leakage. These are like essentially airtight facilities, and the CCC wouldn't license us if there was any kind of suggestion or hint of access going into a non-limited access area. That's an area where cannabis is stored or dealt with.
Thank you. You're working with you said Urban League to find and train new employees. Urban League is doing workforce development. You're recruiting folks from there and training them in cannabis, construction.
So one of the biggest groups that we're working with right now that we've been really involved with, that we support and we cannot wait to get going with, is CMT. It's a community mentorship team led by Bill Moran. He takes young people from the community and gives them opportunities within the construction industry. I've seen him take scores of young kids who were looking for opportunity, get them into the trades, help them get pensions, help them, go from making 30,000 a year to 100,000+ a year by teaching them skills and trades. He's been working with us hand in hand.
Gets them into the union?
Yes, he gets them into the union. He's taking young kids from the community that don't have any other opportunities open to them, pairing them up with different trades in the city. He gets them paid mentorships. So he's hard on these kids. He makes sure they show up on time. They learn discipline. They get these jobs. They're learning these trades and skills, gets them into these programs, gets them to being journeymen, which is like the higher level in the union, and get them pensions. So these guys are building, incredible wages, and he's doing beautiful. It's one of my favorite programs in the city. I'd say between CMT and No Books, No Ball, two of my favorite programs in the city, but CMT is just awesome. So we're excited to work with them about, hiring local people from the community on the construction project.
Local young people.
Yes, from Boston, from the community. And I would say that 90% of Bill's class are people of color.
Okay. You're a partner of Green Flash Delivery, right?
That is correct.
So you already have a delivery business. So
that is correct.
This is basically an add-on to that, or?
That is correct.
Okay.
Most of the delivery, I'm sorry, Chairman.
No, finish, please.
I was going to say a lot of retail stores try to add dispensaries or try to add delivery services or cars or delivery companies, but I've got a history of doing things backwards in the difficult way. It's just the way I am, Commissioner.
Me too. Thank you for that. You listed a whole series of jobs here: production managers, retail managers, wholesale managers, office managers. This whole vertical integrated business, how many people are you thinking to employ?
I'd say that maybe not all at one time, but over the week with the different people that come in on different shifts, mornings, afternoons, and nights, I think this project could create well over 100 jobs.
The whole thing, 100 jobs.
Correct.
Do you have any percentages on one of that is minority, woman, Tories?
Yes, absolutely. We committed, what was the actual number? I think it was 30. We have committed on paper to 35% of people from the community, but the actual number is, hold on, I'm just trying to look up the numbers.
Surrounding community is that Orchard Gardens area.
Yeah, mostly, I mean, for me, Orchard Gardens is of a huge interest. They're my next door neighbors. Right now, I'm working with Newmarket Business Improvement Group and Orchard Gardens. Newmarket, we're currently hiring people in the recovery program for, outside of, they can't work in the dispensary when they're in recovery, but we can hire them for cleanup, street areas like, beautification in the area. And then jobs within the dispensary, we would be, residents of Orchard Gardens would get a huge priority. I've been for years now in conversations with the Orchard Gardens Residents Association about, providing jobs and opportunity for the residents.
Newmarket right now is mostly warehouses and so forth. How are you thinking about as it changes and what some people are concerned about in terms of gentrification?
I think Newmarket is going to remain an industrial area for a long time. There may be the addition of retail, but as far as I can see it, I don't see residential coming into Newmarket.
Okay. So there won't be a lot of foot traffic.
I would like to bring foot traffic into the area. There is a whole area of residents around the industrial area. There are a lot of people that live across from Melnia and the South End there. There's a lot of residents in Orchard Gardens all the way up Hampton Street, Dudley Square or Nubian Square. There's a lot of residents in the area outside of the industrial area, and I would like to see them have a place to walk. We've seen a lot of popularity with Bully Boys Distillery and Dorchester Brewery. People love a place to go. Having a destination is important for the community, whether it's a coffee shop or a dispensary or an art gallery. I'd like to see foot traffic in the area for residents and see more presence. It makes it feel safer. It improves the area.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you, Chairman. It's good to see you, by the way.
Any other questions, comments from the board members?
Jasmine, I was able to find the description of the employment plan in the application overview. But just to dovetail on Commissioner Smith's point, I actually do think that there is, at least, and maybe I can dig some more, but the crystallization of the breakdown of the minority, veteran, LGBTQ, right? Like, just because that is pretty clearly spelled out for us as one of the things that we're sort of noting, and especially given the quantity of folks that you may be employing, I think it also could be a potential kind of bellwether thing for us to, fully understand how this market is working in Boston. So even more so important that I think if you could tease that out in some way, and be able to maybe present it to us in a supplemental way, even just a quick one-pager, I think it will be helpful for us, but also even you have a very strong application. So in the scoring of this, I just think it would be helpful for us to be able to see it in very clear terms, how you're approaching it, how you're going to measure it, how you're going to come back to it should something not be working right. So that was it. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board members? All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office is looking to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information in the community process. ONS had hosted a community meeting on site on August 6th that was attended by roughly a handful of residents, abutters, and community stakeholders. There was a mixture of opinions expressed. Those in support were excited about this proposal, hopefully being approved by the city if it meant that the overall development project for this site would occur, feeling that it would add value to this part of the neighborhood, as well as improve the conditions of the site, which is currently mostly a dirt lot. Residents expressed support with the applicant's work in the community, especially the commitment to assist Orchard Park in a scholarship fund and with cleanups. There were also residents there that were opposed to the proposal, citing concerns about the site's proximity to a local BPS school, although outside of the buffer zone, they still were worried about the potential impact on children, as well as the proximity to a number of sober homes in the area, as well as proximity to Mass and Cass. Other residents also brought up concerns that they've had with the property over the past 10 years, citing poor conditions with trash, rodent activity, and other antisocial behavior, feeling that they were not fully trusting of the proposal as it stands. We did receive one letter of support also describing those concerns that I raised. We know the applicant has been in contact with the Newmarket Business Association, which is supportive of this proposal. We hope that they'll continue to work with the community and other civics in the area, such as, Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. District 7.
Hi, thank you. My name is Angie. I'm with the District 7 office. I would like to say on behalf of the community that the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association is going to be in support of residents that are in opposition to additions to what already exists in the license. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representative? All right, Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
Yes, and just a reminder to state your name and address when called upon. First, we have John Napoli.
Yeah, hi, my name's John Napoli, 10 William Street, Roxbury, Massachusetts. I'd like to voice my strong support for a project like this. I'm one of the founding members of the Nubian Square Neighborhood Association, and I also am a former member of the Project Review Committee for Roxbury. And we're seeing a lot of the projects we reviewed come to fruition now, which is great to see in the area, an area that badly needs development like this. If Mario was able to pull this off, it would add a huge value, I think, quite certainly and obviously to a area that needs the development and needs the economic activity and needs the jobs. I don't think I need to remind anyone here of the disparities that exist between Nubian Square and other neighborhoods of Boston as far as wealth gaps and health outcomes. And as far as the mass cast thing goes, methadone miles not going away as long as the methadone clinics are there. So the more people we can get off opiates and onto cannabinoids, off alcohol and onto cannabis, tobacco, everything, it's going to add to a healthier society, healthier individuals, and we're going to spend a lot less on healthcare in general. So I'm a big proponent of this. It would be amazing if this could be pulled off. It would be a big value add to the neighborhood and keep up with the momentum of the development that's currently underway. And I wish Mario the best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Jason Marshall.
I believe Jason was jumping on another call, but I'll ping him and let him know that he was up.
Okay, perfect. Next is Deborah Tinnen. Okay, Derek D'Ambrosia.
Hello, my name is Derek D'Ambrosio. I am a longtime resident of Boston and a property owner. I want to address that I give strong support to this. The city definitely needs something like this. As far as the mass and cass issue, I agree that we need to get people off of opioids and onto cannabinoids. This would be, in my opinion, a destination, something that the city's never seen before. I definitely would want to go to that, and I think that's going to be a big value add for the community.
Okay, thank you.
Could
Betty. Oh, yep.
Sorry, could I interrupt? I know Deb Tinnen is on the call. I think it's Deborah's iPad. I don't know if she's got sound or not, but she is on the call.
Okay, if she's here, she can go ahead.
Okay, we're just gonna keep going.
Okay. Yep. Okay, is Betty Kelly here?
I think that was for the Charlestown one, Luke. And you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Ben Murphy.
Hi, my name is Ben Murphy. I'm with the Newmarket Business Improvement District, which is located at 98 Magazine Street. Just as a bit of background about Newmarket, we represent all of the property owners in the area, which includes about 500 businesses and almost 200 residential properties. We've worked with Mario on this project all the way from the beginning through all of the different forms that it's taken. He's laughing, but it's true. And all through, all of the revisions that he's had to do, Mario has never done or tried to do a single thing without taking into account all of the work all of the needs of the community And he's worked with us tirelessly in order to find ways of executing his vision that also will improve the neighborhood, the issues that we have, the business community, and the residents. I also want to point out that in the Roxbury Master Plan, which was put into effect in early 2000, Hampton Street, where this project is located, was designated as a transitional street between the heavier industrial uses deeper to Newmarket and the more residential uses that you see going down the opposite way from Hampton Street towards Nubian Square in that area. So because of how responsive he is, how well we think this use fits the area, and how we think it will improve everything that's happening in the neighborhood, we're strongly in support.
All right, thank you.
Hello?
Yep. Hi, Deborah. You can.
I'm
you can
so sorry,
go.
guys.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry about that. I am in support of the Green Line, Boston, because I've known that it will improve the area. And I know Mario, known him for 6 years or more. But again, I'm in strong support of this project.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Michael Feldman.
I think Michael may have had to jump off. He waited for a while. I told everybody 1 o'clock, so he had a meeting, but I think he submitted a written testimony instead.
Okay, no problem.
Hey, Luke, could we just ask Deborah's affiliation with the site? Is she a neighbor or a business or a community group? Oh,
sure. You're on mute, Deborah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I actually grew up in the area when I was younger. And I also know about the project regarding since he started the project back 6 years ago. But what I see and what I've know is that it would be a great project. And I work in the location. I work in Green Flash Delivery as well.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Next is Stanley Walczak.
Yep. First of all, my name is Stan Walczak. I'm located at 101 Gerard Street. We are a direct abutter to Mario. We're roughly a C&D construction demolition processing facility that abuts Mario's property. I've been here for 8.5 years, and that whole time I've known Mario. Thank you to Madam Chair, woman, and also to the commissioners for allowing us to speak today. And we are totally in favor of this project for a couple of different reasons. Number one, we know it will enhance security, which is huge in the area because of the problems on Mass and Gas. Number two, we also know it will enhance the aesthetics. And one of the commissioners brought up a question, and Mario addressed it shortly. It was about the retail, not on the cannabis, but on the possibility of a coffee shop. And I can tell you right now, there is probably 50 to 60 cars that are parked all on the back of our property on Reading Street and also on the whole side of Norfolk Street. Those are all hospital employees that every morning and afternoon have to walk to Boston Medical Center. And if you know right now, there's currently no coffee shops in that area. Between that and roughly the 55 employees that I employ here, some type of coffee shop that close with security, all right, in that area, will be huge, huge. There was a time when the Dunkin' Donuts that was on Mass Gas that was open, they used to have a lot of foot traffic. Unfortunately, they closed. So in regards to that, I think that's going to be another huge win for the neighborhood. And the whole time I know Mario and his family, anytime we've had some complaints for the property over there, because he's had a few different tenants in there, one phone call, the item will be taken care of either the same day or the very next morning. So thank you for your time to the commissioners, and good luck to Mario. I know it's been a long, hard project. I know Mario has put a lot of time and effort into it, and it hasn't been shabby effort. Somebody that deals with different permits and other issues within the city and also with the state. I know it's not easy, and I also know that Mario has gone out and got the best team and has spent and invested a lot of money because he has a good future ahead of him. And I know he's got a great plan that he put together. And I know the most important.
Stanley, that is your 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Connie Levette.
Thank you.
Did you call me Tawny Levette? Or because I don't know if you're asking me to be online or
Oh,
not.
sorry. Yeah, yes, you're up.
Oh, okay. So I would just like to commend the commissioners for doing this work, because this is work that I think, if you're seeing some trends and recognizing what's not been answered and what's not been said, we in the community that has not been mentioned directly has been ignored. And so we haven't been included in that definition of community. And we recognize that work needs to be done there, but it has to be done in collaboration with the neighborhood leaders who know and live in the community. So unlike those who are in support who do not live in the area, and for those who are not directly related to Mario and his team, I would just like to say that the association is even more concerned after listening to the other proponents, i.e. the Bean Collective, and thinking about how and what is going to be there in terms of retail. And I'm wondering if the presentation that Mario gave today was any different from the presentation he gave for the growing facility. The location of Green Line is not conducive to a retail cannabis establishment. After a neighborhood meeting that we had, we collectively oppose. And some of the reasons why are numerous. And I don't know if I have enough time to say them all, but I would hope that the commissioners would look heavily, and I do appreciate Chairwoman actually asking and wanting to know what the community has to say. One of the questions that we haven't had time to do the research, because as anyone who knows, anyone who does this work, volunteer and fight for their community and really care about their community, we don't have the resources to be able to do a lot of the research that's needed to look at this really in detail and fine detail. So one is the federally funded organization like Orchard Gardens that abuts the establishment. I want to know what the regulations and statutes are for an organization that is funded by the feds where marijuana is not recognized. So the fact that they keep pointing to other people other than us and we're on the other side of them, they point to Orchard Gardens, they point to RCC, they point to everyone on South End, and they don't point to us at all. So if they want to do any work, they would collaborate with the people, everyone in the neighborhood, not just the ones who don't agree with what they're doing. I think it should be a full stop. They should just focus on what they have. And no one opposed them when they wanted a growing facility. Everything else that points to mass and cast, regardless.
All right, Ms. Cavett, that was your 2 minutes.
And sorry, Luke, 1 second.
Yep.
Levette, I don't see a lot of opposition from Mount Pleasant. So if you want to submit all your concerns to us, you can at cannabisboard@boston.gov, because I just checked. We don't have any emails from Mount Pleasant. So.
Okay, and now we have Christine Fidel.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Christine Fideli and I'm a lifelong resident. I'm glad Mario had everybody on his side that doesn't live here. We do live here. I'm 300 feet away. The biggest concern, and I guess Mario doesn't understand addiction, is that addiction is no marijuana. He wants to put something next to a halfway house with 45 men that are trying to get sober. Cannabis is not allowed or you're kicked out. He has a school across the street and everyone's saying mass and cast has no effect to this. Well, we're dealing with all this nightmare and we're residents that we sleep here all night that we try to. And he got the greenery and everyone just let it go. But retail is not, it cannot happen. This is absolutely a disgrace. I don't know if anybody realizes that St. Patrick's is going to reopen with 100 to 1,000, all different programs. It's going to be 1,000 children 500 feet away from this retail shop. So with all this being said, we are 100% in opposition. The reason why we didn't do opposition with letters from Vine Street is that we didn't know about it. We just found out about this process. Mario stuck to the other side of New Market Square, where all the businesses are. He left us all, nobody here knowing. So we are 100% in opposition. And thank you, board, for bringing it up and asking if the community was involved, because we haven't. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's everyone who has signed up.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony? All right, seeing no additional hands.
Oh, I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't see your hand raised, Brian. Hi.
I didn't raise it. I apologize. Multitasking. I wanted to, I do live in the neighborhood. I'm on Mount Pleasant Ave. Lavette does not speak for everyone in the neighborhood. I would like to go on record as a resident, also as a business owner who also has a cannabis HCA in Nubian Square, in support of Mario and in support of this proposal. Mario's been an asset to the community. He's only been a positive force in the community. We need more vendors and more proponents like Mario. So I'm happy to be supportive of his proposal. He's going to be producing high quality cannabis right here in the community that proponents like myself will also purchase. As it pertains to addiction, I think it's been proven that cannabis is not the problem. There are other drugs that are clearly at issue here in the city of Boston. Cannabis is not one of the problems that's causing the issues on mass and gas. So that's my testimony, that I am in support of Mario and the retail establishment at 100 Hampton. Thank you.
I don't like to be misrepresented.
Is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony that has not already spoken? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Brian has the meetings. He doesn't come to meetings.
Oh, okay. Those are all the matters before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place next Wednesday, September 25th at 1 p.m. Again, the record will be kept open until next Tuesday, September 24th at 5 p.m. So all supplemental, any additional testimony that wants to be submitted needs to be submitted by Tuesday, September 24th at 5 p.m. Thank you all for attending today's hearing and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.